Hello, I am Emidivergent, aka Emmy. I am known as a hype, high-energy, late-night vibin, new boot goofin, chatty, retro variety streamer who's really open about neurodiversity and mental health. I like to say that my community is all about feelings and fun and retro variety gaming wrapped into one.
Welcome! Thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Yes, me too. So tell me about yourself.
So I started streaming, playing Hamtaro on Game Boy Advance. And I got affiliate my first week, and then I got Twitch partner. I was remembering 33 months because 3 is my lucky number. So I got Twitch partner, and then I've really been a full-time streamer ever since. It's been a pretty wild journey.
Heck yes, that's amazing. Congrats on all of that success.
Thank you. I feel really fortunate, and I didn't even mention, when I started streaming, I had the name Tragic. I used to be Tragic on Twitch, and back in 2023, I rebranded, and I was just like, I don't feel tragic anymore. That's my name I came up with when I was like 12, so I rebranded to Emidivergent to embrace that I am openly neurodivergent, and I talk about mental health, and it's been really neat to go from tragic to magic, as I like to say.
That's so funny. Oh my God, I love that. All right, so let's talk about burnout real quick. Have you ever experienced it? At what junctures? Or was it kind of like a slow burn? Explain.
Oh man. So like I said, I'm really open about neurodiversity and mental health. One of the big things for that with me is that I talk about my mental disorders I'm diagnosed with. And I am diagnosed with anxiety, depression, PTSD, and borderline personality disorder. And borderline personality disorder heavily intertwines with symptoms of ADHD and autism. So I also self-diagnosed to an extent with autism and ADHD. But what that really means for me is that I, for a lot of my streaming career, have done masking. And I think you probably are familiar with this as well. Like when we stream, I feel like we need to be 100%. People are choosing to spend time with us. Our community is there. So I feel like I have to have the high energy going. I have to make sure everybody has fun. I have to be attentive to chat. I have to be 100%. And for the first really 4 years of streaming, every time I streamed, I was like, I have to put my feelings to the side. I have to, if today sucks, if I'm going through something personal, if I'm having a hard time, I gotta put that to the side, which really means that I burn out all the time. So to answer the question of burnout, I burned out a million times. And that is one of the reasons that I rebranded, because I realized that I couldn't be this tragic persona I accidentally created. For me, I cannot be 100% all the time. I'm not 100% any time, honestly. I'm always out here struggling. I'm just trying to get by in the streets,
Yeah.
So the burnout was so frequent that when I rebranded almost a year ago now to Emidivergent, one of the things I told everybody was like, look, I have to be more open about who I am personally and the things that I'm going through. And that means being open about my burnout, because I burnt out, honestly, like my first year of streaming, I wasn't working. So even though I was a Twitch affiliate, I wasn't treating it like a full-time job, but I was still streaming 6 days a week. I've always been the long late night streamer. So I'm streaming like 8 to 10 hours at a time, and then I'll burn out, take a break, come back, and then stream 50 hours in a week again. And it's just happened so frequently that this year, 2024, has been about respecting for me that I burn out a lot, and I have to find ways to combat that. And I'm still navigating that. But
let's talk about the hardest part about content creation for you.
Really, it's kind of what I just mentioned, the hours, the burnout, but really I think it's meeting expectations. It's the expectation of a full-time job is working 160 hours a week. The expectation of, now I've hit Twitch partner, I feel like I need to prove that, it doesn't stop here. I can keep going. After I got Twitch partner, everyone kept telling me it's okay if your numbers drop now because you hit partner, you're good. But I have a lot of self-imposed expectations. I feel like because I hit affiliate my first week, because I hit Twitch partner, I feel like I need to meet all these expectations that I put on myself, and I have the really toxic habit of comparing myself to other streamers. So I see other streamers grow, and I feel like I need to constantly keep growing. I can't have my numbers drop. I can't have my stats drop. I need to be on top of whatever success looks like to other people and try to meet that. And that adds to the burnout. It's exhausting.
Yes, no, definitely. So now that you're kind of like coming out of this constant slow burnout stage, in hindsight, kind of what would you have changed to not get to this point?
I think the biggest thing that I wish I would have done is communicate sooner. My lack of communication caused me to burn bridges with community members, with other streamers. It caused me to not really reach out to people in the way I wanted to reach out. So communication, I feel like I wish from the start I would have just been open and honest about every part of my life. And I think things would have been really different had I done that.
Okay, so my next question is, you just gave advice on your past self on what would have changed, but what about advice for other streamers that are currently facing burnout?
So I got my whole list here. Hold on. So, I mean, like I just said, I would still tell this to anybody. I think communication. I think communication with your community. I think communication with other streamers. I think communicating with people not in the streamer sphere. I have a friend who owns a business, and there have been times I've talked to him. He's like, you realize that just because, you know, not everyone is a streamer doesn't mean they can't give you advice on taking care of yourself. I think having people who are supportive in your life, whether it's on Twitch, off Twitch, communicating and getting perspective and advice from other people is huge, because I'm the type of person, you know, I like to stay in my own head. I think a lot of streamers are like that. I think sometimes it's hard to have that conversation. I also, one of the things, so getting out of my burnout stage, I followed this advice yesterday and I'm so excited. Trying new content. Even if you think no one is going to watch, even if you are expecting your numbers to be low, trying something new, you may hate it, and that's fine, or you may end up loving it.
All right, so my next question is, how did you or did you not manage your personal life, work life, school, et cetera, and streaming?
I've got to be honest here. I don't. It's a constant struggle for me. I think part of it's my schedule, full transparency. I stream all night and sleep all day. And it's really hard, I feel like, when you sleep during daylight hours to really do anything. Because then I wake up at, 3 p.m. and I'm like, I feel like my day is already over. I missed the morning, it's the sun is setting in a couple hours. That's a really hard part for me. And I have considered changing my schedule, but I love my community. I love the vibes at night. It's just, I think my schedule's a big part of it, but I'm trying to do little things, just like getting up earlier. I can, 6 hours of sleep, while not ideal every night, is, I think, feasible for 4 nights a week. So instead of being like, I need 8 hours, today, I can just do 6 hours of sleep, get up a little bit earlier. I just recently moved into a house. I'm starting, instead of like eating, I would wake up, I would eat a whole bunch of food at 6 p.m., stream 10 hours and eat a whole bunch of food and pass out. And I'm like, okay, get up earlier, eat breakfast, cook food. I don't need all this microwavable stuff all the time. I don't need fast food all the time. Just trying to take care of myself physically with food like that. But actual like personal life, still working on that. A lot of my social interaction comes from stream. But I'm trying to take care of myself better, little steps at a time.
Yes, definitely. So that was advice to yourself, as once again, what is advice to other people and other streamers that can't balance their work and personal life?
I feel like this is almost the opposite of what I just said, but one of the big things I would tell a lot of people, it's different when Twitch is your full-time job. And if it is, whatever hustle you do, I respect. I'm not going to try to tell somebody that my way is right or anybody else's way is right. But I do think if you can help it, do not fall down like the Twitch hole is kind of what I say. I've had people tell me before that if you love your job, it doesn't feel like you're working a day in your life. I don't agree with that. I don't think that's true. I love Twitch. I love being a full-time streamer. It is the dream. I don't know how I got here. I feel so lucky, but I have made Twitch 100% of my life. If I'm not streaming, I'm thinking about streaming. I'm thinking about things I could have done better. I'm trying to be creative, but then I'm stifled by myself thinking of the numbers and all of the places I should be posting all the time and what I should be doing and what other people are doing. And it's exhausting. 100% into Twitch all the time for people like me, at least. I don't know if it's my neurodiversity. I don't know if it's mental health or just me in general. I can't do that. And I would definitely advise anybody who goes into streaming. I know there's the streamer hustle. I definitely agree. You've got to put in some sort of schedule and time, usually, to get things like Twitch partner if that's a goal. But I just don't think you should make Twitch your everything. Don't throw other things to the wayside, because then that's how you burn out,
definitely. So this may be hard for you to answer, but it seems like you are doing little things and we should reward the little things that you're doing. But how do you personally take care of your mental and physical health to avoid burnout?
So, yeah, I guess I kind of touched on that a little bit. The little things, cooking more, trying to get up a little bit earlier. I've tried to start doing even the teeniest bit of exercise, getting up and doing some like modified crunches as soon as I get out of bed. Spending more time outside. I'm really lucky that now that I have a house, I have a backyard without like a million people walking by all the time. So getting more sunshine. And for mental health specifically, I've found that journaling is really helpful for me. I feel like everybody says that, but I'm a journaler. I need to journal. And even literally right before this interview, I'm so anxious. I sat on my floor for a second and I just like meditated and tuned everything out. And as soon as I did that, like mentally, I felt better. If I do little things every day, I feel like that adds up over time.
No, I love that. I love that. It may not feel like it's impacting so much when you just do it once, but if you do it multiple times and make it a routine and a schedule, then you'll start to feel better.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. All right. So my last question is, do you have any additional tips or advice for streamers?
So not related to burnout, but the biggest advice, anytime anybody ever asks me, like, what would you tell to somebody who wants to be a streamer? I always think it's so important to say, be yourself. Don't go into streaming being like, okay, I want to be successful and make this my full-time job and I'm going to stream the popular games and I'm going to be what I think people should be. Being yourself from the get-go, playing things or streaming things you're passionate about. It doesn't have to be a game. Sharing parts of yourself, that like doxing or anything like that, but share who you are. Talk about the things you're interested in, whether, it's something you think people aren't into or whether it's something that's a little bit out of your comfort zone. But when you are yourself, when you share the things you care about, when you play the things you want to play, you connect with the people who I think we're meant to connect with. I know that's kind of silly, but I just feel like, you attract who you're meant to attract when you're your authentic self. And I noticed that more than ever after I rebranded last year and I started talking about all the hard stuff I thought nobody wanted to hear. My community, I think, is stronger than ever with the connections we have with each other. And that has shown me just so much about how being open and vulnerable in yourself can go a long way,
Yeah, no, definitely. All right, well, that's my last question. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you so much again for having me and letting me share who I am and talk about my streaming journey. And I know this is silly, but I did want to mention, because I didn't say it earlier, I call my community the Emeralds because they're a bunch of gems. And in case nobody's told you today, Holly, I just want to make sure you know you're a gem too.
Aw, thank you. Give me goosebumps. All right, well, we're going to say goodbye to YouTube and I'll say goodbye to you afterwards, okay?
Okay, cool.
All right, well, thank you so much again and bye, YouTube.